Welcome back, everybody, to another cryptocurrency news article. This one comes out of Crypto Daily, and El Salvador pays debts in full as Bitcoin continues to rise. So, yeah, for those of you who actually trusted the media outlets out there that said, oh no, El Salvador is doomed to fail because Bitcoin's down, they're not going to pay their debts in time. Well, you're wrong, because El Salvador is still doing it and they're still buying Bitcoin. So, yeah, let's go over this article. Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador, took to Twitter to announce that an $800 billion bond was paid with interest and that his country, the Bitcoin bet, continues. President Bukele was more than a little surprised at what he called the literally hundreds of articles that were ran by mainstream media stating that El Salvador was going to default on its debt. And here is a tweet. In the past year, almost every legacy international news outlet said that because of the Bitcoin bet, El Salvador was going to default on its debt by January 2023. But since we had an $800 million bond maturing today, literally hundreds of articles, guys. But the president highlighted that just one of these articles, an example in his tweet this way by the Spanish news platform El País, a highly respected news outlet, which is the equivalent of the Washington Post for the US or the Times for the UK. The article read that investors doubted that El Salvador would be able to meet its debt obligations and tied this in with the Bitcoin's price fall. The article covered the IMF's displeasure with Bitcoin as legal tender in El Salvador, and it also covered the Fitch credit rating downgrade. In another tweet, President Bukele also drew attention to July full-page spread in the New York Times, which in his view helped to create the narrative that El Salvador would be going bust. He wrote this in a tweet. The full-page spreads on the New York Times and creating the narrative that El Salvador was broke and going to default. I called them out at the time, but of course, who was going to believe us and not every international news outlet and their economic geniuses? So yeah, he called them out saying, okay, sure, but again, everyone's believing the mainstream media, but it was not good. But since then, when the New York Times has devoted so much time and space to El Salvador's economic initiatives, it's clear they're afraid Bitcoin is inevitable. By the way, they say we're heading to default. Will they publish an apology once we pay everything on time? He's showing off a newspaper if you're not looking at it, from the International Bitcoin City. El Salvador's big bet on Bitcoin isn't paying off. So yeah, that's some fake news right there. But in yet another tweet, he called out various news outlets that had stated that without an IMF deal, El Salvador would not be able to make its 2023 bond repayment because of the country's Bitcoin losses. But according to the president, in opposition to all the hundreds of news outlets that had stated that El Salvador would default, only one news outlet, the Colombian Semana.com, reported that his country has paid its debt. It's understood that El Salvadorian expenditure on Bitcoin is only a very small percentage of its finances, but the country might need to expect one more pullback from cryptocurrency in order to lay the base for the next bull market. So yeah, El Salvador is doing fine. They're still doing great, people. I still got my group always heading down there, making deals with El Salvador, and I'm about to move. I'm almost debating on dissolving the Crypto Sherpa account in California, which is based in forming either Florida or El Salvador. Who knows? We'll see. Better deals, better business opportunities for that way. But yeah, El Salvador is still killing it and thriving. So again, don't always trust the big time media out there, because most likely they don't know what they're talking about. But yeah, this was a great article. I loved it. I always love hearing about El Salvador and its progression. And yeah, if you guys have liked it too, don't forget to hit that thumbs up for me, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, the Crypto Sherpa is out.